Hi everybody, welcome to the Oldish TV. If you were in hospital, wouldn't you expect to leave it healthier than when you came in? Me too. That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Karen Brown. I'm the publisher and editor of the Oldish, and it is absolutely my pleasure to welcome you all here. Now, if you can put your comments into the comment section below this video, I will see them here and they can pop on over. Okay, so let's dig into this. I posted an article on Facebook the other day that we had written and posted on theoldish.com. Forgive the sirens, an ambulance going by, somebody is on their way to the hospital. We posted an article the other day that is a bit near and dear to my heart. I have an issue with how older people are sometimes leaving hospital. Let me be clear about this. The frontline healthcare staff of almost every hospital, of every hospital that I have ever visited or been in a professional sense, are just wonderful. They care about their patients deeply. They hurt when their patients hurt. This discussion is not about them. This is more about the back end and how what happens in the back end results in whatever level of care people are getting. But here's the thing. As our demographic changes, we need to reassess how we deliver patient care and what kind of patient care we deliver. More and more patients entering hospitals are older, and they require a different kind of care than the care that could be given 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, but certainly a different kind of care than patients received 15, 20, 30 years ago. The demographic is just different, which makes the need different. Let's go to that article, and I will show you. Here it is. Fear of hospital falls keeps patients immobile. There was a study that was done. Yes, I always chuckle when I see the part in the article where the immobility, keeping patients immobile, is referred to as PJ paralysis. Basically what it says is that in some hospitals, there just simply aren't enough personnel. In most hospitals, I would suggest that's the case. Remember back in the day, there used to be candy stripers? I'm not even sure that candy stripers today have the skill set to manage the needs of mobilizing older patients. I'm thinking it needs to be somebody with more healthcare training. And in some cases, let's be honest, it takes two people to get somebody out of bed and walk them up and down a hall. Should we be doing that? Yes, heck yes, we should be doing that. Because keeping them immobilized in bed creates all kinds of other problems. So let's just say, for instance, a patient goes into the hospital with pneumonia or a heart attack. It doesn't matter what they go in for. They go into hospital with a problem that needs to be fixed. The hospital fixes that problem. But along the way, keeping patients immobilized causes other problems. Older patients become very weak very fast when they are in hospital. The surroundings are unfamiliar. The noises are unfamiliar. The food is not what they're used to. And really, hospital food? It's not what they're used to. So all of these things that they're not used to lead to lack of proper sleep. I mean, it's a noisy environment. People are sometimes coming in at odd hours of the day and night and taking blood pressure or other vitals, and they need to do that. I'm not doubting the need to have all of this stuff done. However, this all leads to the weakening of patients. And if there aren't enough staff to get patients out of bed at least once a day and take them for a walk, then their blood isn't circulating properly, their muscles aren't being used properly. So when it's time to release them and go home, I'm sure they have been cured of the pneumonia, but their muscles are in a weakened state. It leaves them ripe for the possibility of confusion when they get home, of a fall when they get home. And guess what? They're right back in the hospital to fix a broken hip, but now they're weaker again. I mean, it's a self-perpetuating kind of circumstance. Again, I'm going to say this is not the fault of frontline healthcare staff. What is it the fault of? It's the fault of how we do budgets. Plain and simple. It is the fault of how budgets are done. Now, what happens in a hospital environment is the same thing that happens in the vast majority of business environments. The budget draft is taken before the board of directors or the executive committee or the finance committee or whoever gets the first look at budgets. What they do is the people who do the budgets will look at the budget number and increase that by the percentage amount of the contracts. Oftentimes they're union contracts. So if a given staff grouping is set to receive a 2 or 3% increase in wages in the next fiscal year, this will be reflected in the budget. Okay, got me on that? So they're looking at dollars and cents increases. What I feel they should be doing is looking at the number of people that are needed to deliver proper care to the patients they have. And that includes getting them up, getting them mobilized, moving them around, giving them the right food. And what's the dollar value of that? That's the number that goes into the budget, not a percentage increase. It's probably going to be a people increase. I know that in Canada, the provinces are trying to keep a cap on budgets. And I know that hospitals like to say, well, our fall rates are low. They're 3% or 7%, whatever they are. I'm sure that a patient who falls could care less that they're one of a low statistic. They fell down. They fell, and the quality of their life is forever changed. And guess what? The quality of life for the people who are charged with looking after them, their family, their friends, their neighbors, whoever, they are forever changed as well, because now this person goes home in a diminished state and has to receive greater care. They're not receiving it from the hospital. They're receiving it from their family. They're receiving it from healthcare people, community-based healthcare people who come in and look after them, but they're not there all the time. They're not there 24/7. I want to take a look at some other articles that we've published and a statistic that I found really interesting. Let's go back to the article, and I want to show you this statistic. This is fear of falling, and this is a Google search that I did. Fear of falling, and this is just this year. This is just this year. So you can see 100% does not mean there are 100 searches. It means that there is great interest in this over time. So we look at this, the numbers represent search interest. A value of 100 is peak popularity. A value of 50 means the term is half as popular. So you can see that a search for fear of falling has hit at or near 100% in the past year, quite a bit. Oh, this is actually more than the past year. This is the past 5 years. Let's just look at the past 12 months and see what it says. So there, it's 100%, 94%, 85%, 88%. So, this is a topic that is of interest to people. It truly is. We talked about food in hospitals, and this is an article that was published a while ago, May of this year. Hospitals using traditional foods to heal patients. So this is a study that was done out in BC. And what they found in BC was that serving traditional foods to patients aided in their healing process, made them healthier, made them stronger, and it resulted in, well, sorry, let me go the other way around. People who didn't eat the hospital food, who were malnourished, stayed an average of 2 to 3 days longer, resulting in $2,000 more than a well-nourished patient in hospital costs. So it seems to be, the conclusion is, an investment in purchasing fresh local food and providing food preparation training could save resources and improve patient care. Now that makes all kinds of sense to me. All kinds of sense. So this business of reducing hospital budgets in the dietary section is not helpful. Not helpful at all. Now we go to, oh, this one is really interesting. Hospital uses wall color to orient elderly patients. So this is something that is a problem too. Patients become disoriented in the hospital. And down at Victoria Hospital, which is in London, Ontario, they have been using paint colors so that patients can find their way to their own rooms. It helps orient them a bit, give them something so that everything isn't hospital white or hospital gray, whatever the color is of the hospital. But delirium is something that is vastly helped by helping to orient patients by using methods like this. And paint, people, is cheap and cheerful. I think that is actually a really, really good solution. That is one of many that can be implemented to help patients heal better. I'm not talking about healing faster. I'm talking about healing better in a more global sense. And last but not least, I want to show you this article that is from 2 years ago, but it is still very relevant. Post-hospital syndrome can have a devastating effect on seniors. So people who are able to live independently and function well go into hospital with some sort of an injury or an illness, and their health starts going downhill quickly. You can read this article and all of the others I'm referring to at theoldish.com. Readmission is common among seniors, and hospitalization often hastens a move into assisted living. That is so important for us all to know. So this term, post-hospital syndrome, was first coined by a Yale University cardiologist, and he looked at the toll that is taken on patients who are going into hospital, and specifically older patients. So as we said just a moment ago, sleep is constantly interrupted, the surroundings are unfamiliar, the meals are unappealing, and bed rest can lead to a loss of muscle strength and balance. Now, bed rest is something that is often enforced more than it needs to be. As we know from looking at the previous article, there are not enough staff to get patients out of bed, so they are purposefully kept immobilized. So this is a New York Times report, which, I mean, these things are credible. These things are very credible. This is not me talking out of my ear. These are people who have actually studied these issues. And it's really ever so important that we get a grip on this stuff and understand the impact of being in hospital and what it means to patients. Now, I'm sure that hospitals with lowered staff levels can do things like accommodate families who want to come in and bring food if the patient can tolerate it, get patients up to walk if they know how to do it. I know I once questioned a fall statistic in a hospital, and it was pointed out to me that in some of the falls, the family was with the patient, so it wasn't the fault of the staff. The data that showed it was a fall that happened when a frontline healthcare professional was with the patient. Here's what I was told. They were trying to give the patient their privacy in the bathroom, so they stepped out. So backing away from responsibility. The fact of the matter is that whoever is with the patient is responsible for them, and you shouldn't leave them alone. Patients who are in hospital, trust me, are used to a loss of their privacy. But again, I don't want to blame staff, because this isn't a blame of staff. This is about budgets and how they're done. And I truly, truly believe that budgets need to be done very differently. They need to be done so that we look at what resources are needed to deliver proper patient care. And when your demographic skews toward an aging patient, their needs are different. Their needs are just different. So what can we do to bring this about? Well, I think that as citizens of a town or a city where there is a hospital, and particularly when we have a loved one who is in the hospital, we can look at asking for the hospital ombudsperson to take this issue up. We can write letters to the chair people of the boards of governance. We can send letters to the chief executive officer of the hospital. Hospitals are funded by the province in Canada, by the state in the US. We can write letters to our MPPs, so that is our Minister of Provincial Parliament, and ask that budgets be done differently. Healthcare reform is a big thing that's on the table now, in Ontario certainly, but everywhere. And I would urge you to do this now. If you're going to advocate for yourself or for somebody else, I would urge you to do this now, because these hospitals are looking at approving budgets early in the new year for the coming fiscal year. So start making some noise, people. I would encourage you to advocate and start making that noise now. I know I'm making some noise now, and I hope you'll join me. So that is our show for today. If anybody has any comments, I'd love to see them. I know that we've had some people here watching the show. I can see that you're there. Thank you for being with us. But as is the case with live video always, the reactions come later because the videos are archived and you can watch it later. You can watch it at your convenience. And I would encourage you to leave your comments. Have you done something to advocate for a patient at a hospital level? What happened? What happened with your loved one when they came home from hospital? Did you experience any of this? Or perhaps on the flip side, the hospital that your loved one was in, were they able to provide this kind of care? Were they able to get them out of bed and walk them? Let's name that hospital and give them a high five, because that is so important. Let's have a look at a spectrum of comments. Until we meet again, which will be next Wednesday at 12 noon, I encourage you to look out for the people that are your loved ones. Advocate for yourself if you are the older adult. As always, it takes a village to age a senior.